YouTubers, it's raining. Hey, what's up, YouTubers? So the joke is, the guy messes something up, and then he fixes it on the job site, right? So he's like a handyman. He makes a mistake, cut the tile. He ain't got no more tile, so he puts another piece in there, which kind of makes it look right, you know what I mean? And but it ain't right. He says, "Oh, that's custom." So the joke always was, when we see the custom home builders, we say, "Yeah, custom." Took one look at what they did, custom ever since. It's custom. Okay, so you shouldn't be cussing God. You know what I mean? And one size does not fit all. So just like with a fingerprint, a blueprint, if you're going to build a house, just the way you dig into the bedrock, or maybe you got to haul rock in and create a foundation, whatever that looks like. Where I'm at, you want to dig out the black clay and then bring in rock and compact that, bring more rock, compact that, and then you're ready to form it up and pour slab. You know, most of the construction there is all slab, but down in Oklahoma, like when we built the shack, there's no slab, and it's actually built on cement blocks. And the point is to be able to break the shack in half and move it. So it's a 2-bedroom house, and it's built like a house, but it's actually 2 trailers. And so you got like the plumbing and everything on one side, and you got the living room and everything on the other side, and then each half has a bedroom. It's a 2-bedroom shack with an open floor plan. Basically, 2 bedrooms, a water closet, and 1 big room. And the way that we did that is the ridge pole is actually just set against each other, and then it's stick frame for each side. So it's actually 2 flat sides. It's not a traditional roof. And then the underneath, the floor is all 12-inch on center, and then which didn't start out that way, but I reinforced it because Dad built it on 2 foot on center with 2x6s, and I came back in between those and added 2x6s. I actually demoed a deck over in Telequal, and then on a different roof, whoever measured it, they were out of line. They sold that guy a lot more metal than he needed to do the roof, and the roof of the shack actually is leftovers from a job. And for the record, I went and helped this guy. The roofer quit him. It was about to rain, and this dude was just getting a bunch of plastic. And I was like, "What are you doing with all this plastic, man?" And I just happened to be at the lumber yard. And we were there to help the guy out. You know, we ended up covering this roof while it was raining. Somebody tore the roof off and then quit. And that afternoon it rained real bad. And the salesperson seen the guy, you know, he's from Oklahoma City. He goes out to the country, gets got by the local yahoos, and yeah, bad situation. Anyway, I just happened to be up there getting some material and wound up helping this fella get squared away. So that was real good. And then when I got paid off the job, you know, of course, he demoed that deck, and then like the leftovers off the job and everything like that, cords to go in between. And they look bad to look at them. You wouldn't want a deck looking like that. You want your deck to look all new and stained and painted or whatever, and which I think is stained. Anyway, so the face was weathered, but the boards are strong. So when you're dealing with God, there's not a one size fits all. These things are custom, man, and it's very personal. And depending on your age in the Lord and your physical age, and then what stage of life you're in, and then where you're at with your knowledge of the Bible, you're gonna put up with certain things out of a teenager that you just ain't gonna fly when your kid's 30. You know what I mean? Your kid's 30 years old, and they're dealing with some issue they've had since they were a kid. You kind of can't help them. You gotta just let them suffer until they figure it out themselves. That way they can stand on their own 2 feet. And then you can talk them through it, and they're upset about this, that, or the other. And you can just talk them through it, but you can't step in and fix it. You probably did that too much already. And then other times, same exact situation, different kid, and due to their capacity and ability, you got to step in. You know what I mean? Even though it is enabling the fact that they can't do a certain thing, you have to, because they ain't never going to do it. And man, it's raining like hell driving down this hill. But I didn't want to lose this train of thought, because God's very dynamic, and it's custom for each individual. There's not a one size fits all. And just because you experience something doesn't mean that that's exactly what the next person needs to do. And as an individual, I only got one set of eyes, so I see it from my point of view, and then I might have empathy seeing it from somebody else's point of view. And then there's great questions, and those knowing which questions to ask, how to ask, and then who to ask. So you need subject matter experts. You know what I mean? This guy might have the morals of an alley cat, and be the worst dude ever with certain things, but he might be a great accountant. And so you might still have good advice coming from this guy. This might be the guy for math, but he's not the guy to marry your daughter. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's certain things, and this guy might be the guy to marry your daughter because of his morals and ethics, but he might be dumb as a potato. You know what I mean? But he might be the guy due to the fact that he loves her and he's loyal, and and all this other kind of stuff. So it's very individual. Okay, and God knows all that. Like all the stuff you got going on, so does everybody else. So does everybody else. And just because I'm in a certain position, I'm hoping nobody else is in my position right now, because I'm going 56 miles an hour, pouring down rain, driving through Appalachia, up and down these mountains. So with that in mind, if somebody else is in the exact same spot as I am, that means we have collided. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to wreck the truck. Anyway. So the point of this video has slipped my mind. However, when I was helping Dad build the shack, he he's a great man. He's built some things in his life, and he was a trucker, and he was a, drilling rig operator, and a tunnel rat in Vietnam, and all sorts kind of stuff. And he knows a lot, and he's very commendable, respectable. Not exactly the guy that you want to frame up a custom house. You know what I mean? Like, he ain't going to read some blueprints that somebody else said, do it like this. And he come from a time before codes. In Oklahoma, you get outside of these cities, there is no codes. Like, just like, you can do what you want. It really is one of the last places in the world to be free. And with certain fencing and everything like that, you could literally be free. And there's a certain level of crazy, and then there's a certain level of like tornado humidity. The neighbors might be poverty stricken and steal your stuff. There's a lot of crazy in Oklahoma, and I think there's some like foreign terrorist groups there because they can go and do whatever they want. You know what I mean? And because there's no codes and stuff, so like they come over there and pretend to be some type of farmer, and then they're just like stacking it to the rafters. So it's good to realize that and be able to overwhelm them. And the best way to overwhelm your enemy is knowledge of the Bible. There's literally nothing better than that. When you see the odds, and just the sheer numbers of like World War II and stuff like that, and you'll see where there's like a technological advantage of the mechanics and the production, especially the production rate. And then there's the stories about, and like, where does that come from, man? And that's where you see it doesn't really matter how many of what you have, other than the soldier boots on the ground. You cannot replace that. They try. You know what I mean? Yeah. A drone is, a custom artillery shell these days. You have the IED that flies. Very difficult to deal with. But it has certain limitations. And that's, you can overcome that with a good man. Now, what does it take to make a good man? The morals and ethics of Jesus. That's literally what it takes. Good men are built. Good men are built. You have to build. It's just like building a house. And it's a custom house. And God will work with you for whatever need arises. So, it's good to have your basics. And then let God do His thing. That's called patience. Okay? So, I'm fat. So I'm not supposed to tell this. It says, the Bible says, when you fast, don't tell nobody. Just take a shower, get cleaned up and everything, and don't let nobody know. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not doing right, but I'm doing right because this is a documentary, instructional, encouragement type video, right? So I got me a good shower in and everything, and then came back to the truck wherever I can, cooked some eggs and everything, and now today I'm gonna fast, right? So I'm gonna do what I can to fast, which is don't eat nothing. I'm gonna drink this 1 cup of coffee, and then when the sun goes down, I'm gonna eat the other 4 eggs that I have, and that's it. And then tomorrow, it's kind of like I'm calling it a fast, but it's more of an OBAD for today. And then tomorrow, we're going to see how that goes. today. And I'm also starting off the 75 hard again. I don't think I'm going to do the app, but I am just going to track 75 days and do the, it's not really the 75 hard because the pictures and then the, I plan for my diet to change. Yeah, that's a thing. So for my body, I went on carnivore, and I flipped back and forth. I've done like just enough vegetables type of deal, with mostly eating meat. But I'm going to go back to eating meat. I did 6 weeks and went down about 23 pounds. And a lot of it's inflammation, I'll be honest with you. So for years, I always just thought I ran hot, and I wasn't. That's not my natural way. I had basically a full body inflammation due to eating herbicides and pesticides in food. And then the non-GMO food, certain foods, my body doesn't process correctly. And then being in the truck, and being at truck stops and stuff like that, that's why my nose is plugged up all the time. My nose, my sinus cavity is actually swollen. And the, I guess that's why I thought about that. So my sinus cavity is actually swollen. At one point I looked in there and I seen something, so I pulled it out. Turns out that I was pulling out my sinuses, and then doing the fasting and stuff like that, and the jogging helped a lot. It made that go away. You know what I mean? And I started learning, what worked for me, what don't. And, it's been about 2 to 3 years just trying to figure out what's going on and what I can do about it. And at one point, it was probably, it might have been 4 years ago, maybe 5, I don't know, man, I'm getting old so fast, man, funny. I got my A1C checked, they said I was pre-diabetic. And I was like, F that. So I just for a month, dude, if it said it had sugar or fat, I just would not eat it. I did here's something else I can't eat. Here's something else. Nope. And it got to the point where if I go in a truck stop, I can get water and a boiled egg, and I got to filter the water to get the chemicals out of that. And I'm kind of nervous about the eggs, to be honest with you. But that was the best I could do. And then I think it was 4 weeks later, I was talking with my uncle and everything, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm going up here to this deal. And they got this clinic thing or whatever, where they train the kids up there in Tulsa at the OSU med lab. So they're just thrilled to death to take your blood pressure or whatever else like that. So in Texas, when I went, I paid them $600. I had to wait 3 weeks for them to tell me the A1C and all this kind of stuff like that. I go over there, they take my blood, go in the other room, come back out, and they're like, yeah, this is what it is. So 3 or 4 weeks, it went from 6.2 to 5.5 for my A1C. I think the last time I checked it, it was 5 or 5.1, something like that. So I've completely reversed just with diet. I'm sitting in the truck all the time. I did some, try to do 75 hard and mess up for a day and try it again, and then go a couple of weeks and mess it up and start over, So I have the book, but I didn't read the book, you know what I mean? So, it's no big mystery why I am failing to complete the 75 hard program. It's no big mystery why, these various things in my life I'm failing. And then there's no point in me lying to myself saying, oh, well, yeah, this, that, and the other is a fail, but I'm winning over here in this other area. And that don't make no sense. That don't make no sense. Like, in this area in my life, it's my life. It's my life. If there's something that I'm calling a fail, I should fix that. For real. If I can't do it for me, I should be doing it for me. And then, doing it for God, doing it for Johnny, my family, my country, all this other kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Really, like, when I quit smoking cigarettes, I'll be honest with you, I don't know how it works for everybody else, but I have to get pissed off, okay? I have to get emotionally involved with my goal, okay? And this 75 hard, there's a part of me that's like, I'd like to, peel my shirt off and just, the wife be, impressed and ready to make some babies. That would be great. I think that would make my life better. I think that would make her life better. I don't really care. You know what I mean? And I'm just talking about emotionally here. Like, I do care. I care for her. I care for myself, whatever. But in the grand scheme of things, like, the priority of a six-pack in my life is, it's way down there. And then it's an incredibly difficult task. And now, lived and be, able to jog 100 yards, be combat effective when I get there, when I'm 85, that sounds fucking awesome to me. That would be great. You know what I mean? If I could sprint the length of a football field, start off on the goal line, run as hard as I can go to the other goal line, kid it out, and be combat effective when I get there at 85. That's a lot, bro. That's pretty serious. Okay, and from where I'm at right now, sometimes I crank the landing gear down and I'm out of breath. And which sometimes the stupid thing's stuck, and I'm cranking up 46,000 pounds of dog food. So it's not like it's a. And then other times, like, you just take your fingers and just crank it right up. So I mean, of course I'm not at a win on that. But anyways, I got to get emotional. God, I love you. Okay, all right, I'll do this. I'll do this for you, honey, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that is. I put that around a 10 to 15% chance. A 10 to 15% on my effort. Okay, and I call 100% 100%. Like, I can't give you 110% because I did the math. I only have 100, and I honestly believe that most people are, what they call 110 is about 85%. That's just my estimate. I know me, when I'm giving it my all, that's between 60 and 70%. And then when I'm pissed off, I can push it up to about 85. And then, like, emergency situation, whatever. Like the guy said, one of these experts I was watching, he said, you'll see these people at a car wreck or something, and they'll just, like, pick up the car. And it's because in your legs, you got a lot of muscle fibers, but you use a few of them. When they get tired, you start using different ones. You never use all of them. So they're like, yeah, you can squat 1,000 pounds one time in a serious situation. Like, you pick the car up, you just rotate it up, get Johnny out, and then you put it down, you go over and sit down, and now your spine and your pelvis is broken. So, like, your muscles are stronger than your skeleton, and I would call that 100%. So if I'm at the point where I'm in a fight, and then like if you go to poking holes in somebody, like I hope you don't have to experience this, but if you poke a hole in somebody, however you decide to do that, they really get frisky. Okay, that puts them in that 100% zone. You know what I mean? So for all you preppers out there and all you doomsday people that think you're going to be in the zombie apocalypse, those are not zombies. Those are people. And if you poke a hole in one of them, they're liable to rear up way more than you think if you've never been there and done that. Yes, yeah. Anyway. So, Jesus loves you, and He does not want you to poke holes in anybody for any reason. And if you find yourself in a position where you have to defend yourself, you need to realize, this guy's, done whatever. He's trying to take your stuff. He's going to, plunder your household, and your wife and kids is in there, and you're the only defense. They got to come through me to get that done. And challenge accepted. So as they come on in, I'm going to have to do what it takes. You know what I mean? And I got to have a realistic view of, I'm going to be fighting this dude, and this dude's going to be trying to get my stuff. And he's going to be like, 60, 70%. And then, if he's really fired up or whatever, he's going to push it to 85. When I start poking holes in this dude, it's going to be up to 100 unless I hit one of the off switches. You know what I mean? And just drop them. So, to be prepared, you got to know what the off switches are. I highly recommend acupuncture. If you'll do a little bit of study on acupuncture, that's an amazing science. If you will take your, everybody talks about jiu-jitsu all the time. Cool, yeah. If you want to roll around in the floor with somebody, that's excellent. It's like a superpower. It's a great discipline. In my opinion, if somebody's coming in my house to try to take my wife and kids to abscond with them to do whatever, the last thing I'm going to do, I have failed to come to the point where me and this dude are trying to choke each other. I've already failed because this guy's, I got to assume whoever has friends with them coming through a different door. You know what I mean? And the off switches are the only option. You know what I mean? And there's different ways that you can render somebody combat ineffective without taking their life. And knowing how to do that is a certain skill. And you got to be ready, man. I'm telling you right now. You poke a hole in somebody and they just come. Yeah, they really get a surprisingly amount stronger and everything. And if you weather that storm, try 30 seconds to 4 minutes. You know what I mean? That's about all there is to that. So, put them down, get to the other door, put them 3 down, fall back, whatever. Probably shouldn't be saying any of this. But God's going to bring you to the level very custom to you, specifically for you. Now, if you're a band, you need to know these things. Okay? If you're a band, you need to be able to do these things when you haven't had nothing to eat breaks down. And now you're just there on the side of the highway, refugee style, with all these other people coming by, looking at your kitted out Suburban, thinking you're a loot draw. Now what? You know what I'm saying? And you just got to post up for 3 days. Does that make sense? For whatever scenario. And if there ain't no food or whatever, you know, you've abandoned the truck. Because it don't make sense to stay there. Now you're in the woods. You've harvested a squirrel and fed your wife and kids, and you're doing without. 3 days later, here comes the posse of zombies. Now what? You know what I'm saying? So today, when you're today years old, you need to know what 75 fast is. I've tried 75 and fasting before, and it ain't no joke. It ain't no joke. I'm 4 days. That's the furthest I can get. 4 days. Just water, 75 hard. I made it 4 days. You know what I mean? 75 hard and fast, that has got to be the ultimate. If you can work out twice a day for 45 minutes, keep all your bullshit in line, and go 75 days like that without eating anything, bro. People say Jesus fasted day and night for 40 days. And they're like, there ain't no way. When I was a kid, everybody's like, there ain't no way. Nowadays, it's like everybody knows that that's totally possible. Most people know. Anybody that like pays attention knows that is physically possible to do. And I'm telling you right now, yeah.
There's low visibility reported ahead.
I just crawled up this mountain. I just got to get to the peak. And it is definitely, I'm going to leave him alone. It is, I mean, coming down on this side. The enemy does not want this video put out. Obviously. West Virginia, Tennessee, New York City, 8 for me. Put that in the comments if you know what song that's from. If you know that song, if you heard me say that and you know that song, you're definitely my kind of people. Runaway truck ram, half mile. Well, if this somebody gets away from me at 46 miles an hour, I would be very, very surprised. I'm 2 hours early to my delivery too, so I'm just taking it easy. Everybody's passing me. Yeah, speed limit's back up to 70. It must smooth out down there. We're just going to keep the old jerking gauge, just ease on down through here. Because you'll be professional at all times. And man, I'm telling you right now, the ability to maintain you're going in and doing, and then to carry thoughts and be focused, be on point, and then bring out these things that the kid folk need to hear for year after year after year. Okay, there's a good man that he points out that when everybody else slows down and you just stay at it, you'll outpace them to the goal. They pause and you pressed on. You know what I mean? And then there's like the other thing where like you get the truck unloaded, drive back through the hills, and now your uphill speed is dramatically higher. But your downhill speed actually could be about the same but your overall will be way faster because you're not so heavy. So there's times where you got to realize, I got to unpack this deal, you know what I mean? And then back with like the kids and stuff like that or whatever, the same way you're raising your kids, the same way you set up your systems in your household, in your extended family, as you're sowing seeds into the kinfolk, you got to let them grow. And you got to get real specific with each individual plant. You know what I mean? You might need to add some fertilizer here, you might need to dig around, stuff like that. But you got to realize that God's doing that for you. And God will show you, hey, you need to call and deal with Sally today. Hey, you need to turn all your electronics off and chill today. You know, you need to go on a fast and work out. Whatever, you know what I mean? But if you're not setting up a system for this thing to take care of itself, and then put those parameters out there, and then being like, is this good enough? You know what I'm saying? All of that is way outside of my pay grade. And I just walk in obedience. Like, I literally feel like I'm supposed to be sharing this with you right now. Or I wouldn't be on here. You know what I mean? Like, I decided I wasn't going to do this shit 30 times probably. But I mean, like recently, in the last 45 days, I'm like, God, these are your kids. You take care of them. You know what I mean? And He don't let me. He don't let me back off of it. He don't let me, even though it's like so ridiculous. You know what I mean? I got so many things in place that if the people involved would just do what I say, man, it would ridiculously change everything. I mean, everything. I mean, like, the way you go to the store. For real. Like, I got a whole thing of dog food right now. The warehouse, the distribution center for this dog food could be right in the same building as the 7-Eleven and, a strip mall, and the whole building power itself. They use, electric forklifts to load and unload this thing. And then, traffic mitigation to where, why the fuck is everybody off work at the same time? Like, it's stupid. It's stupid. It is retarded. Like, if you're going to run a business, and you want these people to come over and spend 10 hours dealing with your staff, 10 to 12 hours, like, why are you not setting this thing up to where you can do business? Your actual workers, not your back office, but your actual working people. Why are these people not starting work at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning? You know what I mean? And then getting off work at 2 o'clock. You know what I'm saying?
In a quarter mile, use the right 2 lanes to turn slightly right onto the ramp to I-70 East, US 40 East.
Set up. And I can sit there, and you can sit there. I'm not freaking Nostradamus or something.
Use the right 2 lanes to turn slightly right onto the ramp to I-70 East, then merge onto I-70 East.
Figure slightly right. Okay, I see what you're talking about. Why is it making such a big deal out of it? It's like, just stay in my lane. I didn't even change lanes. What are you talking about? Take the exit. That's the other thing. Like, don't make a big deal out of it if it's not a big deal. I got 3 devices telling me that, all this stuff about how this is.
Continue on I-70 East for 24 miles.
I didn't change lanes. Nothing. I'm still in the same lane the whole entire time. It's saying I'm on a totally different. I just went from Interstate 68 to Interstate 70. Because I went down 68, that way I didn't have to pay the toll. Because the boss man's like, no tolls. But I'm heavy, so, you know, I just drove up and down the mountains, used the extra $75 worth of fuel. So, potato, but it is what it is. I don't make the rules. So like the shack was put together and everything like that, and then I went back in and reinforced the floor. Then I did the ridge pole in 2 pieces, so that and then I buried them together with steel that you can take the bolts out, and now you can drive off half the house and drive off the other half the house. It either set up in 2 locations or put it back together as one house. And then because it's not a house, that saves on taxes. And then because the siding and stuff ain't done, well, it's unfinished. So, you know, a house at Tickertoo is $1,800 tax every year. The shack is $0. It's not even a completed shed, mobile shed. Like if you put a shed on your property out there, it costs you about $35, $40. But if it's not put together, it's not put together. It can have a complete interior. It can be but that's just knowing the law, knowing the loopholes, you know, making your way the only way you know how. But I could have gone to that summit with the truck and, you know, put one over here, put one over there, and then the other outbuilding. And yeah, we are prepared to handle things from multiple directions with fallbacks and the whole 9 yards. Like it's a system. You know what I mean? And yeah, I just fell into this stuff, man. It's God doing this. It's not me. It's not me. It's not me. I'm not that smart. You know what I mean? Like, what's the chances of me going to frickin' what's the name of that town? Something Kentucky. What's the chances of me when I'm 18 years old just hopping in a truck with some guy to go put equipment in a chicken house, go to Fulton, Kentucky, and, you know, meet these chicks. We went in there. I told my buddy, I said, I bet you $5 I can get that girl's number over there. They were washing this Camaro with their shorts and all that. She was from Georgia. I'm sitting there eating my breakfast, or lunch, I guess. And I said, I'm about out of reasons not to. And I finished eating and I got up and I walked over there. And I said, hey, me and my buddies, we're over there eating and everything. And chicks are hot, man. And you're over here watching the car. And we noticed how hot she was and everything like that. And my buddy bet me $5 that you wouldn't give me the time of day, let alone your number. So if you write your number down or whatever else like that, you know, that'd be cool, man. Because, you know, I don't remember exactly what I said, but basically I told her, hey, you're hot. And my buddy says, I'm not capable of getting your phone number. Can you give me your phone number? Not only did I get the phone number, but like we partied with these chicks. And he met like a whole bunch of people there. And then like I left there, like that was one of the first places to leave a Tahoe. You know what I mean? Like the Chevy Tahoe back then was a package in a S10 Blazer. They had a 2.8 liter V6 2-door, ridiculously slow, but awesome on the dirt road. awesome for high speed dirt road, and it's narrow enough to drive in between trees. So once you pull that 2.8 out and you drop in that freaking LS, yeah. You remember those what was it, the Typhoon or whatever like that? They had the 4.3 liter Vortex with the turbo and all-wheel drive, fastest production vehicle. Yeah, well, this was not that. This was a LS with all the four-wheel drive stuff out of a, I believe it was a 94, 95 K2500 that rolled over. So we put all of that drivetrain in this two-door S10 Blazer in the Tahoe package. I believe it was an 89. I could be wrong about that. Might have been a 90. But it was the square, it had the little square headlights. I know that. And it was two-door. You had to put it in four-wheel drive with a shifter in the floor, and from the factory. And then after we changed everything, it was different. And then the breakover angle was better than a Jeep, with just the same tires and wheels it came with. The truck looked stopped. If you just walk up and look at it, you're like, I don't want this piece of shit. As soon as they start it, yeah, you're like, I want to drive this. Anyway, and that's always been my thing, like, you know, super capable, kind of look like a dumbass. That's just always been my thing. I've always liked the sleeper. You know what I mean? Like, you see that station wagon or whatever. And you're like, why would anybody drive that thing? Then you started up here and it's like, do what? You know? And then like suspension upgrades. Like when I was a kid, all the cars drove like shit. Okay? Like double wishbone suspension and coilovers and stuff like that was not a thing back then. So if you bought just about any vehicle and changed the rack and pinion to where it would actually turn and then completely turn, not just barely. I mean, just you turn the tire and it's like, you know, all the way that way. You're just like driving in a circle like you're doing a donut. Or like, you know, you're not even peeling out. You just, it turns that sharp. Which nowadays, they set the cars up to grip and everything. But, I mean, we were doing that back in the day because Dad had that W900. We took the bump stops off of it, and we could actually turn. And then we had to reroute the airlines for the front brakes because the tire would turn so sharp that it was rubbing the airline. Well, I was there while they were doing that. I was like 4 years old. You know what I mean? So I get up, you know, about van size, you know, 11, and I got this Ford truck, and I'm over here modifying the suspension on this thing, where, you know, like the overloads are, you know, for a 1 ton, but it's riding on 2 leaves while you're just driving around. So I can just cruise around. This thing rides smooth. Then I can put 3 rick of wood in the back of this thing and tow a trailer, and it's just sitting level. You know what I mean? Because the extra leaf springs in the back, and then upgrade the front suspension where I can turn to drive through the trees and the woods. You know what I mean? And so a lot of this stuff made sense to me, and it was just go to the salvage yard and buy parts. You know what I mean? And if it didn't actually fit on there, weld it on there. And then if you heated up the frame, put a plate inside the frame and weld that on there too. I mean, just like when you're stretching out a bead reel. I've seen them do when I was 4 years old, you know. So, you know, next thing you know, I, you know, become a fan legally, and I'm 19 years old with a 200 mile an hour Pontiac Bonneville that looks just bone stock. They'll go from Decatur, Arkansas to Centerton, Arkansas in, 5-6 minutes. Just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. And at the time, you couldn't catch it. Like, Fast and the Furious had just come out, and dude had an Eagle Talon turboed out. And it was kind of like the Mitsubishi Eclipse, but like the American version or whatever. It was called an Eagle Talon. And it was all, I think that stuff was put. It was like 21 pounds of boost in a 4-cylinder. You know what I mean? It was ridiculous. I remember when he wrecked it, they had that sunroof. And he said he was sprawled out. And he was holding himself, and his feet were on the front where the windshield made it to the roof. And then his hands, he said because he flipped it, and he's sliding down the highway, and he said he's holding himself up off the pavement, and he could see the lines going by like that while he was sliding upside down on the pavement when he wrecked it. And man, that thing was actually pretty good in the corners and stuff. And yeah, dude, I literally run circles around that guy in that Bonneville. It was ridiculous. It really was. And it was front wheel drive. So your front wheel drives will drive a little bit different. And then you know how that guy spun out in the beginning of the first Fast and the Furious? That's because he let off the gas. Okay, well, I found that out on the Cherokee Turnpike. I was running about, I would guess 130. I was out there to about the P on MPH, but those speedometers ain't accurate once you get past the numbers. And the first gauges I had in it, they would stick. And then the second set of gauges, I took that post out because it broke the speedometer cable. And so I changed the gauge cluster and just got another one out of the salvage. But while I had it apart, I took that post out of there. That way it wouldn't break the cable again. I was hoping. And it seemed like a simple fix. You just grab it and break something off. And fucking red deck, right? So the second gauge cluster, I could get it up to 65. Like all the way around. There's a gap this big. This thing goes to like, I think 115, 125, something like that. But I could get it all the way around back to 65. All the way around and back to 65. Well, is that accurate? No, probably not. Does the turnpike dotted line look like a solid line? Yes. Yes, it does. And if you let off the gas at that speed, it's about like a jake brake in a truck, but it's all on the front axle. So the ass end will try to come around whichever way. So that's what you see. And that was actually legit. In the beginning of the first Fast and the Furious, you see him bang out the gears, and then he spins out. It hits the steering wheel or whatever. That's because he let off the gas. If he would have eased off of it, he'd have been fine. If he'd have put it in neutral, he'd have been fine. But when you're top end and let off the gas, you're basically jake braking only the front two tires, which is probably the stupidest thing you can do at a high speed anyways. Age and stage, live and learn, stuff like that. Okay, so with these specifics and knowing these things, doing these things, you know what I mean? And then like having the gift of gab, and then being like locked in a concrete box in total isolation. And then being locked in a concrete box that's made for 4 people, but there's 8 or 9 people in there, and they don't open the door for like 4 months. You start learning about, taking a bird bath in the sink. You start learning about, entertaining yourself. And I would read the Proverbs at night out loud, and everybody'd fall asleep. And knowing stuff like, if you can't sleep, read the Bible, because if the enemy's bothering you, the last thing he wants you to do is educate yourself or gain wisdom. So if you can't sleep and you start reading the Bible, if the enemy is what's keeping you awake, you go to sleep. Any blockage from the spiritual forces of darkness will leave. Because if you're asleep, you're not reading the Bible. So that's active strategy. That's active warfare. And we take so much for granted that if you'll slow down, you back off this thing and you look, there's another jungle. So there's an old bull and a young bull. So you notice how I start talking about the Bible and start raining real hard again? So the young bull says to the old bull, hey, let's run down there and fuck a cow. The old bull looks back at the young bull and says, hey, let's walk down there and fuck them all. You know what I mean? And, well, I probably should have said impregnate, whatever. The joke, when you tell the joke, you use the F word. That's part of the joke. Anyway, I need to work on that. I really do. This is probably out of line. I'm going to say it's probably out of line. The point being, save your energy and make it count. Save your energy and make it count. You know what I mean? So when we're, if we'll stop and step back for a minute and just look, let patience have its perfect work, then you will be complete lacking nothing. I can't say that enough. That's right up there with write it down. Like, I want to let patience work, and then if I didn't write it down, I haven't thought about it yet. If I didn't write it down, I haven't even begun to think about it. And just the process that it takes to write it. You know what I mean? And then there's a way to access your subconscious with your non-predominant hand. So if, like right now, I'm writing with my left hand, this is my right hand, but I'm right-handed. So if I'm reading the Bible out loud while I'm doing something with my left hand, it doesn't matter what it is. I could be just sitting there just flicking a big lighter, I don't know, open it and shut the knife. You know what I mean? I could be like this. So I'm just sitting there like this. If I'm doing that with my left hand, I'm accessing part of my brain that helps open the door to my subconscious. So as I'm accessing my subconscious, if I'm reading and writing the Bible out loud, writing it down, what it says, God forgives those who forgive others. God forgives us as we forgive others. Now, is he doing it to the same degree as me? Yeah, kind of. Is he doing it at his pace, the way he sees is best? Absolutely. And that is case in point specific to you. Case in point and specific to you specifically. For your appropriate situation, circumstance, age, and stage of life. And if you will let patience have its perfect work, then you will be complete lacking nothing. And that is incredible. Absolutely incredible. And you start getting into stuff where now, just with those thoughts right there, you know what I mean? Like, one of the ways is like if you brush your teeth with your non-predominant hand and say, I love you, to yourself in the mirror. So you're just like brushing your teeth. You're like, I love you, but you got a toothbrush in your mouth. So the way you're talking is going to sound kind of funny. And then you're saying, I love you to you. You know what I mean? And in that moment, you're accessing non-predominant hand, accessing the subconscious, installing the words, I love you, and then laughing as you got a toothbrush in your mouth and you brush your teeth every day. So apply this for a 40-day period You know, Moses 40 days of this, 40 days of that, whatever like that. And then take on the modern hardcore 75. Take that to your 75 days. Put that on your power list where you're going to brush your teeth with your non-predominant hand while you're saying, I love you, looking yourself in the eye of the mirror. And yeah, see what that does for you. See what that does for you. It's pretty powerful. And if you get your head wrapped around some of this stuff, man, I'm telling you, the Bible says I can do Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So who's doing this? Me. I can. So I'm acknowledging that I can. I can what? Do. So now I know I'm doing something. Probably be going. So it's going and a doing and a doing and a going and a going and a doing and a going. And growing in the going as I'm on my way to do. So I'm doing as I'm about to do. So that's do-do. Sorry, I couldn't use it. Yeah, gotta have a poop joke in here somewhere. Something shit. Anyway. Humble, I tell you, humble. So, if Bigfoot comes out, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So I'm going to do this thing. I'm the one doing it. I'm doing it. I'm going to go through Christ. Through Christ. What does that even look like? How am I going to go through Christ? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Okay, so who's getting stronger? Me. Where's the strength coming from? Christ. Christ is strengthening me. I can. Because I do through Christ. So what does it even look like? I got to be covered in the blood.
In 2 miles, take exit 26 for I-81 north toward Harrisburg.
If I bring up the blood of Jesus, the prince of the power of the air will make it rain more, apparently. See how the rain starts coming up again? I have to stop here. Yeah, that's what I thought. 81. Yeah, it's right there. There's a sign right there. Oh, all right. So through Christ. That's very important. That's very important. I need to study on that. There's something there that I'm not able to express right now. Probably because I'm distracted. Pesky little, drive a semi through the mountains, getting in the way of my ministry. So like right now, I recognize that I'm having a blockage on that word through because it's a big deal. I need to do a word study on that and a whole video about how I'm empowered by Christ to do stuff and what through Christ is. And I'm pretty sure it's got something to do with obedience. I can do all things as I'm obedient to the Word. It all comes back together.
In a 1/4 mile, take exit 26 for I-81 north toward Harrisburg.
Here's the church, here's the steeple, open it up and see all the people! Is this the right one? Is this the one for north?
Take exit 26, then use the left lane to take the I-81 North ramp.
81 north. There we go.
Use the left lane to take the I-81 North ramp, then slide right onto the I-81 North ramp.
Why not? Let's just stop in the middle of the road. That's a great plan. What are you going to do today? Well, I'm going to get up on the interstate, get on the on-ramp, and just stop. It's pouring down rain in front of a semi. Good job, folks. Good job. They have the audacity to have a sign up that says, slow down so you don't roll over. But if I get any slower, I'm going to roll over in this bed back here. The guy asked me one time, he said, the safety guy, I was saying,
slide right onto the I-81 North ramp.
And that guy's like, well, what kind of driver are you? I said, oh man, I drive safe. He said, man, you got to be safety conscious around here. I said, man, I turn my blinker on before I
In a
roll
quarter
over.
mile, use the left lane to take the I-81 North ramp to Harrisburg.
Yeah, I knew it was time to start my diet. I pulled up there at the scale house. He said, slide your seat back. You're overweight on the drive axle. That's how you can tell. Like, slide the driver's seat back. You're overweight. I did know a guy, no joke. I did know a guy one time that had he was so fat, he had to get out of the truck at the scale. Because he was overweight.
Use the left lane to take the I-81 North ramp.
The truck was overweight if he was in it. And he would get out of the truck. And I was like...
Continue on I-81 North for 67 miles.
I was actually pretty surprised at how agile he was getting in and out of it. But he'd been getting in and out of it for 25, 30 years. They just, he'd get out, walk to the store, get something to eat, come back, get the truck, go sleep. He wasn't doing much else. And the muscle increased as his weight increased, getting in and out. So even though he was like real big, no, he couldn't. You told him, break and run or something, like he couldn't do that. It's like me, I'm out of shape bad, right? I'm real bad out of shape. I get in and out of this truck like it ain't nothing. I can crank that landing gear up and down like it ain't nothing. It's no big deal. Put that towel in, shit. Back of my legs hurt. And I know what it was. I was trying to get done. And I felt my legs cramping. And I just worked like 2 more hours past the cramps. And like literally until, for 2 hours past the cramp or whatever. Now what is this guy doing? There ain't even nobody in front of the guy. Like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you stopping in the road? Everybody's just stopping in the road. There's not even traffic. Okay, so I don't know why this thing's doing that. Why are you doing that, dude? There's nobody in front of me. He's just stopping in the road. I guess he's got anxiety about going to work today or something. Anyways, so yeah, it's real important for you to remember to read your Bible every day, and that being familiar with it every day. No read, no feed. You can't get away from that. You can't get away from that. No matter what, you can't get away from that. Every time you eat something, you need to be reading. And then when you're fasting, you need to be reading twice as much. And then you need to be doing the will of God during your fast. Like whatever that is, like leading up to the fast, you need to be in prayer. I give it about a week. Write some notes or whatever, make a video, whatever like that. And like right now, I can't write a note, but I can like push record and, here we are, yay. Sitting in the middle of highway, freaking Interstate 81, going 3. Because everybody wants to stop in the middle of the road. Anyway, if you'll take notes or whatever like that and get specific reasons, say, God, I know I'm fucking fat. Excuse me. Father, I want to remodel the temple. You know what I mean? I'm unhealthy. I want to be healthy so I can be effective for the kingdom for however long you have me here. So with the thought of your glory in mind, how should I go about this, and how can I do your will during this fast, during this time, during this season? I'm going to set apart a certain number of hours to fast and pray, and I want to know what to do during that time. Okay, now what that does is that's going to open up some stuff for you and get you some listing time. You know, so 72 hours before, you know, start loading up on your vitamin, mineral, all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like eat 4 eggs instead of 3, whatever type of deal. You know what I mean? Put your vitamins and minerals you're going to need, and then make sure you got some salt stuffs, vitamins and minerals, LMNT, however you do that. I did like yesterday. I got some of those. At the truck stop, you get a cup of fruit, right? So I got grapes, but they're so sweet I can't eat them. I had to throw them away. And then I got those halos, but they were already peeled. But when you get them already peeled, they still got a lot of the zest. So like you're eating, it's like, oh, that's pretty good, pretty good. Oh, that's like super hard. Anyway, so I knocked them down last night. I had 4 eggs, 2 slices of bread right before the fast. And when I first stopped, I had the peanut butter and jelly real quick, and 2 of them, and then I went in the store, and I got a shower and all that kind of stuff, and then right before I went to sleep, 4 eggs and bread, knowing that I'm going to fast today. You know what I mean? So like I preloaded this stuff, and am I doing it for health? Sure. Okay, yeah. But full encompassing health, and then I want to go and do bringing glory to God. You know what I mean? And I want to do that every day, especially when it's hard, especially when I want to quit or whatever else like that. And then like my sustenance, like we see in evidence where Jesus said, I have food that you do not know about. I want to know about that. If we're coming into apocalypse and freaking no food season, which if you've been paying attention, you realize that they don't have as much food as they traditionally had. A lot of the ground's played out. A lot of the fight over in Ukraine has taken away some of the inputs for industrial farming. So they literally need the large-ass Americans to eat less to distribute more food to other people. And they can't come out and say that. You know what I mean? If the government comes out and says, hey, look, we don't have enough food to feed the world, and we're going to stockpile some of this food for us, not share with y'all, because we think there's an asteroid going to hit off the coast of San Diego in the year 2030, and in between now and then there might be a nuclear war, so enjoy that. We're going to collapse the whole system, change the money, and make you take the mark of the beast. Yeah, so that's what they're doing. So when I avoid getting my head cut off and dart off out into the woods, there's bushcrafting and stuff like that, but then there's like master class sustained via the Holy Ghost and doing His will, and like call down fire on the drones. That sounds handy. That sounds super handy to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, the disciples were talking to Jesus or whatever. Somebody's talking all crazy, and He's like, hey, you want us to call fire down on this dude? Like, not can we? Do you want us to? And Jesus is like, hold your fire. You don't know what spirit you're of right now. He's trying to save them. They was trying to kill them. So he was more of a, they were kind of thinking destruction at the time. But let's say the exact same scenario, it's not a person, it's a, flying IED that needs to detonate before it blows up the wife and kids. I suspect Jesus' answer to that will be significantly different. Should we call that fire on them? Duh, disciple, get on it. You know what I mean? I assume there's a possibility he may have said something like that. This is all speculation. But that's what I'm shooting for. That's what I'm shooting for. I mean, like, for real. For real. Like, for real, for real. No joke, no pun. I want to be able to call down the fire of God to dispatch the enemy trying to attack the kinfolk. Whatever shape, form, or fashion of electronical whatevers. I just want to shout it down. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys got to have a go. You know what I mean? I don't see taking over the earth for Jesus without that. And then there's something about this cloud of witnesses thing. Some of them are caught up. One dude's in the field, the other guy disappears type of thing. And then like the wide press at the judgment of the Lord and like blood deep as a horse's bridle. So we got like the, you know, Jesus style can smasher. Just like, you know, he just plucks up all the sinners, puts them in the thing, and wide presses. Is that what that is? I've heard significant argument about it.
Welcome to Pennsylvania.
Yes, I'm in Pennsylvania now. Legally required to take a pen and paper and write down the mileage when I cross the state line. That's a legal requirement. It's crazy. It's crazy what the government says is okay and what's not okay, and then what you're actually required to do. It's so hypocritical. There's R-E-E-L and there's R-E-A-L, and then there's like tangible, and then there's like sticking to your word, like keeping it real. You know what I mean? And then good ain't bad. Good just ain't bad. And then there's best, and then there's perfection, and then there's like blameless. Like, can you blame them though? When you get into blameless, you got to have a biblical standard there. And when you have that biblical standard there, you're going to look at yourself and find flaws. Okay? If that's biblical, like it says do this, and you did not do this, you did something different, and you don't care, man, you're in serious danger. You're in very serious danger. If you look at that thing that you did and you struggle with like hating yourself.
There's low visibility reported ahead.
Yeah. That's actually a really good sign. That's a real good sign because that's they call that conviction. So if I feel a conviction that I'm not doing right, that I'm not doing enough, you know what I mean? And then considering the biblical standard, not culture, biblical standard. With that context, looking from that perspective, am I right or wrong? And then if I'm wrong, why do I keep doing that? And then what is that? And And then that's where we get into healthy fear. But you should have a healthy fear of the Lord. But you should not, you shouldn't be so scared you won't go to him in prayer. That's also the enemy. So it's like walking in equilibrium. Equilibrium? I don't know. I get bored about 3 syllables. It's hard for me to figure stuff out. So, I'm sure you guys are way smarter than I am, but I know to get out of this truck and walk in the store, buy a cup of coffee, I got to decide to go in the store. Then I have to have equilibrium to not fall down while I'm walking. And that happens so naturally, I don't even think about it. I'll pop this thing, grab the door handle, be out with the coffee cup in hand, locking the door, looking around, making sure I ain't getting run over, and just walk right over there. And the whole time, I might be thinking to myself, I wonder if they got anything for sale or whatever. I might be thinking about something somebody said. I might be thinking about a Bible scripture or whatever. I'm definitely not thinking, okay, lean a little bit left before you fall down, hold your leg out or whatever like that to keep balance. Like, I don't think about that. And that's reps and sets from trying to walk. Then once we started walking, we did it for a long time.
There's low visibility reported ahead.
I was watching this guy, and he was talking about the working out and stuff. And this one lady said most people don't sprint after they turn 30. They'll never sprint ever again. And sprinting is the fountain of youth. It does a lot for you. And then people that try to do that, they figure this out. They're 45 years old. They see their parents are, withered and dying. And they're like, fuck this. I need to get on the stick. And they go out there and try to run. They have to learn to run over again. Like if the last time you sprinted, you were 30. Now you're 45. You haven't ran as fast as you could, like a bear is chasing you fast, for 15 years. Okay? You're gonna have to relearn. Like, your body knows how to do certain things, but you're so rusty, you gotta resharpen these skills. You know what I mean? So as I look back at my life and I see these good things, these capabilities that I had, and then I know I need to grow my discipline, and I'm obviously so undisciplined. And then, like, how did I do it to begin with? It was more necessity than it was ever discipline. So I never learned to run or sprint in the genre of discipline. And that's a lack. You have to be patient with that. I have to be patient. You know what I mean? If I never went through sports ball training to work as a group, and I'm just like, because of the law restrictions, I never really had a job. I always just worked for myself. This is literally the first job where I'm an employee trucking. And this particular company, been here 5 years, is the longest job I've ever had. Ever. And I've said on here a few times or whatever like that, like, if you're a CEO and been that way for a while, go run the drive-thru at McDonald's. Go to the ghetto where they're going to talk crazy and be completely disrespectful. And yeah, get a job at Taco Bell in the ghetto for about 90 days. You know what I mean? Like, you think 75 hard did something for you? Yeah, go run the drive-thru. Go run the drive-thru. You know what I mean? And just, like, don't choke nobody. Good luck. You know what I'm saying? At the end, you're going to suffer, and then you're gonna have all these things afterwards. And when you get back to that, one of the things that I have found truly amazing in life is gratitude. Humility and gratitude are not getting the props that they deserve. For real. Because it's a big, big, big deal. Your quality of life with gratitude and humility, it just, man, it outweighs everything ego, everything money, everything job title. I'm the CEO and I did this and I did that, yada, yada, yada. You know what I mean? That's, the unsung things are so much more valuable. And then, like, if you go back and be honest, it's like, did you catch a break? I think you did. Did you put yourself in position? Did you work? Did you earn it? Sure, yeah, all that's true. All the suffering you already did, you did. But you did don't count. Now, you're not going to make bad decisions over again, but pointing out your accolades and resting on your laurels is another mistake. And one of the best antidotes for that poison is hard-ass work. And hard, you know, if your job is not swinging a sledgehammer, you need to go swing a sledgehammer, bro. If your job is not, customer service, you need to go do some customer service. You know what I mean? If your job is not wash the toilets, you need to go wash the toilets. You know one of the things I do every time I go home? I take a scrub brush to the toilets. Now, I don't have city plumbing. I got an old school septic and I got a aerobic septic system. See, the enemy don't want you to hear this. And when I go home, I clean my toilets. Because I tell the people, look, don't put chemicals down the toilet. Kill the yeast. Yeah, I put yeast in there. And the yeast bacteria eats the solids. So, pretty gross, I know. However, I'm a servant leader. When I come home, I go into each and every bathroom and I clean it. I'll take all my wife's stuff off of the thing, clean the sinks, so there's two, put all her stuff back. Sometimes I'll take a picture of it so I know how to put it back. And then sometimes I got like that board, I'll take that stuff off, put it on the board, and then just set the board back up there. That covers up one of the sinks, and now she has more countertop. She seems to like that. So I clean the toilets, clean all the beers. Because I want them to have a clear self-image. And I got one of them ones that's a stand-up beer. You can stand in front of it and see how your clothes fit and everything. And I strategically place a beer on the opposite side of the room. You know what I mean? That way, people are, if you're aware of what you're doing, ladies, if any ladies are out there, guys, note the timestamp on this, 1:29 and 30 seconds. Ladies, the stretchy pants, that ain't cool.
There's low visibility reported
You
ahead.
put on a skirt or something over them stretchy pants. I'm telling you right now, the parts that you think you're leaving to the imagination, yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It's real bad. I'm telling you, it's bad. I'm telling you right now. And every dude that you would find disgusting is eyeballing and visualizing all your private parts. And you are reduced to a sexual object where you put on stretchy pants and go out there strutting around. And you look in the mirror, you see yourself from the front. If you put a mirror behind you, you see it from the back. Get a good look at that, and then take them off and get a good look at that. That's probably better than what's going through a dude's head. That dude, how many people do you think are watching pornography? How many of these perverts are out here jerking the gherkin, looking at pornography, and now you're out there walking around in public wearing stretchy pants? What do you think's going through their head when they look at you? Now, your husband probably knows this because that's what he's thinking. So that's cool for you to wear that for him. But if you're going to put on stretchy pants, put on something over it, man. Like, you don't want to be a tool of Satan with your God-given attributes. It's really true. It's really true. I struggle with it, being as pretty as I am, I struggle with it as well. I got on a white long sleeve shirt today with my silver lining black shirt, so I got this little double collar thing going on, and my beard's starting to get a little bit dried. So, with all my glorious appearance right now, I'm not wearing stretchy pants because I don't want some dude eyeballing my cheeks. Okay, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I don't care who you are, especially if you're a man. Quit wearing stretchy pants. All right, that's our message today. Go stretchy pants. I don't care what you identify as. Stop wearing stretchy pants. Oh, man. All right, rock him. Now have a good day. Go get them.